What? We're live? Is this thing on? Hello, I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and welcome to The Right Mindset. They always say don't say that, but I'm going to say that because it's alive. It's live. Every Sunday, we do a live at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, we wait a little bit before everyone comes in before we start what we're doing. But if you don't know, today can be anything from education to advice. But more importantly, today is rewriting the greats. Basically, how to find your author's voice utilizing a technique that we will go over today. For anyone that's out there yet, just know that you're more than welcome to ask any questions. However, let's get some shareage going on. Let's create a post. Hey, I'm live with my beard. There we go. Done. All right. Should I share it to someone else? No, just kidding. All right. So we're waiting for a few more people to get in here. Hello, everyone who's joining us now. Again, this is live. Hey, what is up, Mr. Rowe? Greetings, Thomas. Yeah. Welcome, Ro. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Before we even get started today, let's see. I gotta share the screen. I gotta start getting everything into place. What is up? All right. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. We got a few more people we're gonna wait for. But more importantly, what am I doing today? Let's just get into it. I've done this a few times before. Hey, just made some Snickers ice cream. You can't go wrong with Snickers ice cream. I'm all settled in. Welcome, flowers, to the main event. I just had a Snickers yesterday, a Snickers ice cream bar, not a Snickers ice cream, which I assure you, you're definitely going the right way. That's the yum 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 of life. All right. I've done this a few times where I take a qualified expert in writing a successful novel. I take that first page. We don't always do the first page though. I'm probably only going to do maybe the first paragraph, maybe the first entry. All natural ingredients. All natural. You can't go wrong with that. You need all natural. Just like me. Every little bit of this is all natural. All those chemicals and poison. All right. So what I do is I take a piece that has been written already by an expert, and the whole point of this is not look at me, I can write. Look at me, I'm a writer. But it's this right here: rewriting the greats, how our author voice shines. I'm going to show you how I can take something that's already written. The beard. It needs the chemicals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something that you have in front of us. This is Gone Girl, by as if anyone doesn't know, Gillian Flynn. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to rewrite it basically in my voice. Now, there's a couple things I have to acknowledge here. That my voice usually comes through third person limited, and it is more action packed, right? But if we read, having a long day today, everyone. All right. So if we so bear with me. If we look at this, okay, this is in first person. Okay. So we already know it's in first person. When I think of my wife, I always think of her, the shape of it at the beginning. The very first time I saw her. Remember, you can't use the word saw, but this is in context to a presentation. All right. Like a shining hard coin. You could. So this feels very present tense. I'd know her head anywhere. So that's present tense. All right. So this is outside my norm, which this is an example of allowing yourself to challenge your the way you work, the way you write. Because the more we challenge ourselves, the more we give ourselves a chance to take our voice and then sort of like mush it and mold it into essential rules. We're creating rules for ourselves. I have to rewrite it, but it has to be in first person. I have to rewrite it. It has to be in present tense. So that's important too. But let's read it. Let's see what we got here and then take it from me. I'm not going to read the whole thing. When I think of my wife, I always think of her head, the shape of it to begin with. The very first time I saw her, it was the back of her head I saw, and there was something lovely about it, the angles of it, like a shiny, hard corn kernel or a riverbed fossil. She had what the Victorians would call a finely shaped head. You could imagine the skull quite easily. All right. For fun, let's do some education here. This is a lot of telling. I just want to put that down. Trim the hedges last night. Oh, nice. As well as mow. Oh, all right, all right. Haircut buzzed down. It took me a second. I'm glad I continued reading, as well as mowed the lawn. I almost felt like, you know, we were doing a whole manscaping over here. All right. Sometimes you have to. I did trim it. It does. I had to clean it up a little bit. It was getting a little itchy. But I do wish I had a big beard again. But at my age, washing my hair, washing my beard, my arms hurt. All right. This is a lot of telling, but it's done through the perspective and emotions of we're learning about the character. We're learning how they think and how they see. So it's important that it's written this way. But what I want you to do out there as you're watching this episode is think about how you would write this, how you would take this and put it in your voice. So one of the rules that I try to establish on this is I'm going to keep the context, the subtext, and the plot. The only thing I'm going to change is the way I would write it. But right off the bat, this is a lot of internal, and that's the advantage of first person. Again, I normally write in third person limited, right? So I don't really write internal thoughts. It's not like sitting there going, oh, I was sitting there watching the game, and there she was just chewing on that popcorn like I wasn't even here. Just, it was loud as hell in my ear. And then I turned to her and smiled. Hey, how's it going? And made like nothing was wrong, but everything was wrong. Like, I don't really like writing that per se, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just I don't have it. I don't have a connection to it. So when I think of my wife, I always think of her head. So I think that today, why I chose this is because it's going to be a nice, difficult practice for me, because I like physical. I like showing the world evolve. I like showing characters, but this is so deeply internal. This is all deeply internal. All of this. I know her head anywhere. And what's inside it? I think of that too. Her mind, her brain, all those coils, and her thoughts shuttling through those coils like fast, frantic centipedes. Like a child, I picture opening her skull, unspooling her brain and shifting through it, trying to catch and pin down her thoughts. What are you thinking, Amy? The question I've asked most often during our marriage. If not out loud, if not to the person who could answer. I suppose these questions storm cloud over every marriage. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? Who are you? What have you done to each other? What will you do? All right. See, this is probably more me right here. If you've ever seen the movie, this is almost verbatim. This is not like she licks it, right? Doesn't she like look up into the camera or something like that? I'd love to hear your thoughts out there. All right. My eyes flipped open at exactly 6 a.m. We could wrap it. This was no M. All right. All right. Here's a question I need to ask myself. Do I want to start with all this almost like a small... I feel like this is like a small prologue. Like, you need to know this, people. What we got here? Hey, oh dear Lord, I could only think of comical directions to take it instead. Well, yeah, as soon as I think of her head, excellent, but too many teeth. I'm only assuming Roe is as bad as I am sometimes. This is where I probably would start. I'll be honest. Like, reading this as a developmental editor, though, my first question would be like, what are you trying? What are you accomplishing with this? What are your goals? And obviously it's a successful book, which also gives me insight into how I look at manuscripts and how I look at writing, because I understand the whole point of this is tone. It's setting up tone, but it's also setting up red herrings, especially because of this part. If you don't know the story, or you don't know the movie, or if you haven't read the book, All this sounds like he's crazy, like he's gonna murder her or something, like he's a villain or something like that. And that's the whole book, right? The whole book is like did he or did he not murder his wife? Gone Girl. But if you've seen it, spoiler alert, it does get revealed. This is more my speed right here. My eyes flipped open at exactly 6 a.m. This was no avian fluttering of the eyelashes, no gentle blink towards consciousness. The awakening was mechanical. A spooky ventriloquist dummy click of the lids. The world is black, and then showtime. 6 o'clock. What? I guess it's 6 o'clock, the clock said. Yeah. 6:00, the clock said in my face. First thing I saw, 6:00. It felt different. I rarely woke at such a rounded number. I was a man of jagged risings. 8:43, 11:51, 9:26. My life was alarmless. At that exact moment, 6:00, the sun. Wow. All right. I need a minute. I need a minute to figure out how I'm going to put this into my voice and style. And that's why this is going to be a nice challenge, because this is all like deeply internal. And maybe I can, because I'm going to put it in first person. So maybe I can. I think that's a good start. I think just kidding. Just kidding. When I think of my wife, I always think of her head, the shape of it to begin with. A lot of this is good, but like, all right. Oh, you know how I could do this? You know how I could do this? I know exactly how I could do this. All right. I think I have an idea. Oh, what do we got? It reminded me of a childhood daydreams, marshmallows, and storm clouds. Were they storm clouds? Perhaps that was the wrong day. Maybe that was the day the postman got hit by the dog. Well, anyways, excellente, excellente. It's always the storm clouds. Yeah, to begin with, the very first time I saw her, it was the. Mm, mm. When I think this is exciting. I know it's exciting. I haven't done anything yet, but this is. I want you also to think about how you would write this in your voice. I definitely have to put thought into it. Not just thought to write it, but I have to allow it to be through the thought. But it is doing a very good job. I mean, if anyone knows Gillian Flynn, she's an excellent author. So, you know, she does a lot of psychological effort and puts a lot of effort into it. I'm just thinking of ice cream. I would love to switch places with you. All right. Hmm. And, All right. What we got here? Oh, hey, Hannah Hard, welcome. I had a crazy week at work. Well, I'm glad you could come here and relax a little bit with us. We are doing the Rewrite the Greats. So let's take a little look. See, first of all, remember this is a first draft, so oh, no misspelled words. Give myself a little excitement for that. I added a little bit more to the opening because I like to set mood and atmosphere. That doesn't mean what I wrote is better, doesn't mean what I wrote is correct, it doesn't mean what I wrote is the way to go. Ro had some really great comments on some of my videos earlier this week, and some of the things I said to him were true. Well, everything I said to him is true, but the point I'm making is what I loved about Ro's comments. It helped me iterate the truth about writing. Is we as authors have to make choices. We as authors, to find our voice, need to look at situations and figure out what we want our characters to do and what they would do through whatever it is we create with them. And we can create whatever we want. So even if I took Aragorn from Lord of the Rings and someone else took Aragorn, or even Gillian Flynn took Aragorn from Lord of the Rings and created a scene with them, we might feel differently about who they are as characters because of our perspectives, the way we internalize what we know of Aragorn or Strider, you know. So one of the things that I really like doing is adding atmosphere and adding movement to a piece, right? To have sort of, and we've talked about this logical narrative movement. Not that she doesn't have logical narrative movement, but I wanted to feel organically through character choices. So the darker the room, forced movement and empty, right? The darker the room, I would even say formed empty images, like a canvas, unknown faces forming or emerging. Emerging. I spell that right? I feel like I spelled that wrong. Emerging. Oh no, I got it. Yeah. Emerging. Emerging. Oh, here we go. Oh wait, I can't do it. Like canvas of unknown faces emerging, ideas pulling me through the awoken through endless hours of my night. All right, so before I get any further, let's just do that just so we can break it up. So this clearly is not here. It's nowhere near there. It's not even represented. The reason I put it though is because of this. My eyes flipped open exactly at 6 a.m., right? So I'm starting off where the character is having a sleepless night, okay? Because they said that they wake up at random times, 8:43, 11:51, 9:26. So that's something to me that would indicate maybe not a secure night's sleep. Like it could go up and down, it could vary. So I'm setting up the idea that they're laying in bed in darkness, right? So the dark of my room, I could even say lying on my bed in the dark of my room. There in the infinite, nothing formed empty images. All right, infinity, no, infinite. I think it's like that. Infinite. Nothing. Okay. We got some. Everywhere I looked reminds me of her. Stares out the car window at some grain. Silos. I can't forget about her. Everywhere I look reminds me of her. All right. Funny movie. I'm actually kind of interested in the new version that's coming out with Liam Neeson. But all right. So lying on my bed in the dark of the room, my room. There in the infinite nothing. There in the infinite nothing. Formed empty images like a canvas. Oh, I don't need a comma there now. Like a canvas of unknown faces emerging. I don't need ideas. Pulling me through endless hours of the night. I don't really like the word the, but all right. So I am definitely setting up a different atmosphere. I am creating history to the character by showing them in a situation. I am showing them an endless night, which means I can almost take away this when I get to it, right? But we'll see what happens. I might not get that far. All right. So there we go. And I would almost say that this becomes its own passage, right? Because we've physically set up the parameters and we moved into the faces emerging, pulling me through endless hours of night. It is here. It is here where I think of my wife often and her head and always her head and that shape. Oh, no, I like the shape of it, the way it stood out the first time I saw her. First time, the back of her head. Stop life around me. All right, there was something lovely about it. The angles, the shape, as the Victorians would call it, a finely shaped head. So I took a little bit of it. I took some of it because I like that. A finely shaped head. That's what she said. All right. So what am I doing differently? And first of all, obviously, she has 74 words, and I just added a little bit. So I have 94. So I added, what is that, 20? Yeah. So 20 words, right? And you think about Thomas, what about your word budget? Well, I'm willing to sacrifice my word budget a little bit because I know there's certain things in here that I'm not going to include. I wouldn't include just because of my style of writing. But I want to add movement. I want to add depth, right? And I'm not saying hers doesn't have that. I'm saying the way I look at narrative has a movement to it, has a different kind of depth. I'm not adding a lot of exposition per se, but I like to build on elements. And in this case, when I think of my wife, I always think of her head, right? Okay. I understand this is a strong first sentence, right? Which means that if I went back and did a second draft, I might try to adjust things. But this is technically the first sentence. Lying on my bed in the dark of my room. I might even just say, in the dark of my room, there in the infinite nothing. I like it. Faces form. Empty images. Form. Wait. Wait. I think it should be like this. See, my editing brain's working. Empty images form. Oh yeah, because it's supposed to be in first present tense. All right. Empty images form like a form on a canvas. Okay, 1 second. Boop. Da, 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 da. Finally, this way. Boop. All right. Actually, there in the dark, infinite nothing, empty images formed on a canvas of unknown faces. Oh, formed faces. There we go. Faces on a canvas. Formed unknown faces on a canvas. Yeah. Unknown faces emerging, pulling me through endless hours of night. I think that's a strong sentence. So there in the dark, infinite nothing. There in the dark, it's infinite nothing. Oh, infinite. There in the dark, empty images form. Oh, Beep. Whoop. There we go. Form. Okay. Images form. On a canvas of infinite nothing. Unknown faces. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, I'm working through it. All right, so they're in the dark. I normally wouldn't do this on a first draft, just for the record, but because of the exercise, I'm trying to edit in real time to sort of get my voice as close to possible, as close as I can within this. They're in the dark. Empty images form on a canvas of infinite nothing. Unknown faces emerging, pulling me through. I think this would be an M dash, but I don't know. Oh, I don't need the copy, but I don't know, but I've been told you never slow down, you never grow. I think I could get away with a comma, though. I'll be honest with you. My grammar brain is not really on full action, but I think this is stronger. And look, I cut it down. Look at that. See what editing does? 24 instead of, I think this is what, 33. Yeah. So there we go. And that's a stronger first sentence, right? There in the dark, empty images form on a canvas of infinite nothing, unknown faces emerging, pulling me through endless hours of the night. It is there where I think, now I could actually do this. It is there where I think of my wife often and always her head. The shape of, now this becomes one fluid thought. So it is here. It is here where I think of my wife often and always her head, the shape of it, the way. Okay. But what if you edit all your words away? It scares me. It scares me. It's okay to edit all the words away. The goal is, by the way, again, do not edit while you write your first, second, third. I would say your first and second draft. From your second draft to your third draft, you're writing with notes anyway. So a lot of the stuff is going to be cleaned away. But let's assume you get to the end where now it's your time to go through and start doing the self-editing, right? Even though you should be hiring an editor at some point for line editing and copy editing, you as the author should do a variation of line editing. And when that happens, your job is there for clarity, the logical narrative movement, to make sure the logical narrative movement encompasses all the greater things of, does it make sense? Is it coming out of nowhere? Is there a transition? Right? Like that's all part of logical narrative movement. Nods in agreement. Excellent nod, by the way, Flowers. Perfect form. But to also add to that, if you're the one editing anyway, and you're cleaning it up, every word is your word anyway, because it's your vision, it's your idea. You're the one making the choice. I just made all those choices for this, so it's always going to be you. And even if an editor does say, hey, this there in the dark, should it be in the dark? Let's get rid of there. Like, you still have to say yes. Editors are not changing your work. They're suggesting changes, which is a whole different world. But your job is to go, well, how do I say the most with the least, right? Because I also try to look at a novel, a manuscript, like I'm writing a screenplay, which we've talked about many times, because of the every line equals money theory. So I'm not a fan of like one sentence doing one thing. I like sentences. Some sentences I could do one, depends on my pace if I want to make it a little quicker. But ultimately, like, you should be allowing sentences to have weight, to do a little bit more. Her hair reminds me of a warm, safe place where as a child I hide and pray for the thunder and the rain to quiet pass me by. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I'm having a bad long day, so I can't get the notes out. Here in the dark. There you go. I like it. Here in the right? One time I was at they were doing like a cover band, and that song came on, and I'm like I'm singing, I'm right in front, like, and the girl pulls me up on stage, and she's like holding the mic, and she's like, and I start singing, and she's like, oh, and then she gave the mic to me, and then she grabbed like a secondary mic, and then afterwards she was like, oh, I'm so glad you were able to sing. Normally I put people up and they're all drunk. But I love that song, by the way. That's a great song. So let's talk a little bit about voice and why this is different. Okay. When I think of my wife, I always think of her head. That is a really good, like, first sentence in itself, because it creates questions. It's interesting, right? But then it goes right to the shape of it to begin with. That is logical narrative movement because of head. Okay. The very first time I saw it, it was the back of her head I saw, right? I think there's something, like, for me, I need to add a little something more to that, right? So let's kind of bypass my atmosphere. That this is atmosphere and history I'm trying to create. So let's go to where the first sentence. So it is here where I think of my wife often, and always her head. So this is saying that in that emptiness that he can't sleep, right? I'm creating the history and the potential for something. Okay. Because he's thinking of his wife. Is his wife alive right now? Is she dead? Are they together? Where is she? Why is she not in bed with him? Right? There's a lot of questions going on, right? So the shape of it. Now, again, head, and then I go into the shape of it, right? The shape of it, the way it stood out. The first time I saw her, the first time the back of her head stopped life around me, right? So the shape of it, the way it stood out. I can almost do this. The first time, the shape of it, the way it stood out. The first time, the back. Oh, the head of it, the shape of it. Actually, the back of it, the way it stood out the first time. The back of her head stopped life around me. All right. Whatever. We'll get to it. All right. So this says the shape of it to begin with. The very first time I saw it, this right here, this feels like exposition. And the only reason is because it feels more like a statement to me. And I wanted to sort of, again, it's just that's, I'm not saying what she wrote is bad or wrong. I'm just saying the purpose of why I write things comes through my author's voice, just like it comes through Gillian Flynn's, just like it comes through your voice as an author. Like, there has to be a purpose and a choice. Remember, writing is easy. Being a writer is hard because you have to make choices and you have to stick to those choices. So it is here where I think of my wife often, always her head, right? So let's kind of dig into that. Let's create a logical narrative movement. The shape of it, the back of it, the way it stood out the first time the back of her head paused life around me, right? It's creating like a connection to it. Why it stands out is because it had an emotional effect on him. I kind of want to adjust something here. I'm not enjoying this. All right, the shape of the back of it, the way it stood out. Okay, the shape of it. I think I could get away with the way the back stood out the first time I saw it. I paused life around me. I think that's better. Okay, let's go back up. Bloop. Okay. Oh. It does sound creepy, kind of like what I'd expect Jack Torrance to type about Wendy at the Overlook once he started going nuts. He's nuts. Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah. Because the idea is that we don't know. We don't know if he really, because you have to set him up as the potential for, right? Because it's a thriller. I don't know why I said it like that, but it's a thriller. Thriller night. Okay. Uh, where's Vincent Price when you need him? All right. It's the thriller. So I created an emotional connection to why it is specifically the shape of the head and why he's thinking of the head. So the reason he's even thinking ahead is because in the dark, I don't know if you've ever been like that. You're just looking into the dark and like faces are forming and stuff like that because your imagination's going wild. You know? And it is here where I think of my wife often and always her head, logical narrative movement, the shape of it, the way the back, because we're adding on it. We're expanding on head, right? I could have expanded on wife, but the head is the most important part of that sentence, right? The shape of it, the way the back stood out for the first time, when I saw it, and how it paused everything. I like that. That's smoother. It was. Oh look, I think I'm getting smaller here. What do we got here? Yeah, 80. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. We got originally 74. Yeah, 6 words more. I feel it feels a little bit better. There was something lovely about it. The angles, the shape, as the Victorians would call it, a finely shaped head, right? Right? Yeah, 80. 80. 80. 80 sprockets. Let's see. It is here where I think of my wife. I don't think I need that comma unless I'm trying to create a rhythm. Think of my wife often and always. Or I think that's that makes more sense. And then let's see. The shape of it took me for a surprise when the shape of it, the way the back stood out the first time when I saw it. I think I have to do the Oxford comma there. Oxford comma. Thoughts? Okay. All right. So there you go. What are we at? 37 minutes? All right. I think we could do another. I think I could do this next paragraph. I'm pretty sure I could do the next prose. We could turn I'd know her head anywhere. I think I have time to write that in my voice. Okay. All right, let's do it. I know her. You know what? Even blind. Even anywhere. All right. Okay, I won't interrupt. Even alone and lost, even lost, I would know her head anywhere. All right, so why did I add even lost? Okay, because again, oh wait, yeah, I forgot. We're allowed to use this in first person. You're allowed to use, you know how they say, don't use those. Don't put the don't say you'd or we'd or I'll. Don't do that when you're writing. Well, in first person, you have a lot more freedom. Just for the record. The reason so the first one is I'd know her head anywhere. That to me feels like a statement. It's okay to write statements centric lines. There's nothing wrong with that. But for my voice, I like again to have movement. So even lost, that's an emotional truth. It's setting up context or I would say even greater subtext. Okay, I know her head anywhere. So what does that mean though? Even lost emotionally, mentally, in the crowd. We're adding some psychological depth to this dude. And what's inside it? All right, this part is where it gets really weird to me. This is stuff I don't really relate to. I'm not married. Are you married, Mr. Thomas? Nay, says the Thomas. Oh, yeah. I want it that way. Tell me why. All right, I know. No one wants to hear that. I thought we were in sync. All right. Get it? In sync. And what's inside it? Sorry, I had to grab I had to get a message. All right, let's do. And what's inside it? What is inside it? I think of that too. Her mind, her brain, all the. This is the part where I would say there's a chance this person's psycho. But again, I don't want to spoil the book. I don't want to spoil the book. But this is like this guy wants to tear a brain out. Like, like I tell people, I as per Ghostbusters and Egon Spangler, I had a half a slinky once, but I straightened it. I get it. You want to straighten the brain. All right. Her brain, all those coils and her thoughts shuttling through like fast, frantic centipedes. Like a child, I picture opening her skull and spooling her brain and sifting through it, trying to catch and pin down her thoughts. What are you thinking, Amy? Hey, we know her name now. The question I have asked most often during our marriage, if not out loud, if not to the person who could answer. I suppose these questions, Stormcloud, Stormfather. All right, that's from Brandon Sanderson. Over every marriage. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? What are you? Oh, who are you? What have you done to each other? I feel like just singing show tunes. All right. I got this. I got this. I can get through this. This is a lot. Let's see if I can bring that down. And what's inside it? Okay. Never mind. What's inside it? Roaming. Seas. Never mind. Never mind. I'd know her anywhere. Never mind. Beyond her hinge. What? Beyond. Wow. Okay. Beyond. And her mind. Beyond. Beyond. How about this? Its shape. What's inside it? Roaming. Okay. And her mind beyond its shape. Calls me, strikes. Query. What? Strikes me. And her mind, far beyond its shape, calls me, strikes at me. Need a desire to know what's inside. Roaming. Those roaming thoughts and fantasies. She keeps so distant from me. Distant from me. Okay. All right. So let me try to clarify what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create an emotional connection to these ideas and a relationship with the marriage. Okay. So before we even get into the book, I'm doing a lot of showing through process, right? He's processing things and he's creating these questions for us as readers. But this is, and what's inside it, I think of that too, her mind, her brain, all those coils and her thoughts shuttling through those coils like fast, frantic centipedes, right? Like a child, all right, well, this is the next part, but this is me saying, well, why does he want to know what's inside? What is going on? What is right? It went from her pausing everything and him thinking about her head and like what connected them, was something there. And then even lost, I know her head anywhere. And then I'm sort of playing with the idea of being lost, and also, and her mind far beyond its shape calls me. So I'm connecting through transition the shape of her head into the sense of her thought, and like, but it's not just her thoughts, it's how her thoughts directly connect to him, emotionally, right? So, and her mind far beyond its shape calls me, strikes at me. I have a need, a desire to know what's inside those roaming thoughts and fantasies she keeps so distant from me. So there's a relationship, right? I could even say like a child. Hmm. Want to explore, open skull, and unspool brain, shift through it. Something trying to catch a predator through it, trying to. Thoughts. Profit. Far reaching. Building mud. Far reaching. Or painful to the touch. What are you thinking, Amy? What are you thinking, Amy? I don't know, but I've been told you never slow. Whoa! I don't know what that is about. Hit the wrong button there. All right. What are you thinking, Amy? Far reaching to my touch. What are you thinking, Amy? Okay. 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 Let's read it. And her mind, far beyond its shape, calls me, strikes at me. I have a need, a desire to know what's inside. I like the rhythm of this. I have a need, a desire to know what's inside. Those roaming thoughts and fantasies she keeps so distant from me. Like a child, I want to explore, open her skull and spell it correctly. Skull. Spooling her. To unspool her brain, shifting through it, trying to catch and pin down her thoughts. Each one while reaching to my touch. Ooh, what do we got? What do we got? I haven't seen Gone Girl, but I thinking American Psycho by reading the first few paragraphs. It's without giving it away, because it is a good read. It's a really good read, and it's excellent writing. Like I'm again, when I do these, I'm definitely not suggesting in any way that the original author is. I'm just doing it as an exercise. But I assure you, it's not what you think it is as you read it. But it's doing the American Psycho thing on purpose to make you think it is what you think it is. And that's what I think really works about it, is because it slowly unravels and becomes. Uh, it's as if she wrote it going, "Oh yeah," and then she was like, "Oh, what if I just do this instead?" And like the whole second half of the story starts unraveling, whatever. But as it unravels, you're like, "What?" Mm. Oh wait, did I put this up? Yeah, I did. Right. Yeah, I know. It's like, which is good writing. That's how you subvert expectations. You present something, and then you make sure logically it does unfold into something it is not, or it adjusts, or the red herrings create some confusion that allows you to go back and go, oh, the foreshadowing was always there. So that's always good to know about. All right. What are you thinking? All right. What are you thinking, Amy? Let's see. The questions I've asked most often during our marriage, if not out loud. if not to the person. All right, I'm going to add actually a new paragraph. Marriage. I'm going to say our marriage. Oop. Yes, I'm hoping not seeding with sledgehammers. Yeah, that's fair. You don't want to seed with sledgehammers. But you can have direct moments. Like seeding isn't just hidden elements. It can also but I understand you're probably heavy handed, like I know how to use this sword, and if the sword goes into the stone, it blows up the castle. Like that would be heavy handed seeding. But now obviously, like, I hear there's a sword that can blow up the castle. That's foreshadowing, in a sense. And then be like, there's no such thing as that sword. It's also Chekhov's gun if they show the sword, right? But yeah, I love seating's one of my favorite things to write in the book because, as you'll see, even tomorrow, like anyone who hasn't watched the series, as I'm writing, I like to be like, oh, I could kind of add this or adjust this. And that's the other thing with outlining. Not that we're doing that right now, but as you develop ideas, you're allowed to lean into them because all you have to do is go back to earlier chapters or earlier areas and just add in the logical narrative movement of it, right? All right. Our marriage was filled. Oh, actually, filled over with questions. Oh, that question. Common, I'm sure, in most relationships, if not out loud, not to the person who could answer. We needed. Oh, we needed to know. I needed to know. All right, I suppose those. Okay. How many times could I ask? What are you thinking? Thinking. How are you feeling? Christ. Who are you? What will we do? All right. Okay. All right. Look at that. Huh? Let's see. 220. And then this is going to be 285. So it's is that 15? It's 35 extra words. But now you still have to edit. You still got to edit and like make sense of this stuff. And, there's other things you got to do. You got to clean up. You got to clean stuff up. Yum, 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 yum. For example, far-reaching. I think far-reaching needs one of these. To my touch, this would be lowercase because of the semicolon. See, but this is stuff like I don't really try to think about when I'm writing. When I'm first writing, I just, whatever. Oh, what do we got? We got a row. I prefer the part in Star Trek 6 when Chekhov says, if the shoe fits, and the alien clearly could not wear the grav boot. That is a funny reference. Also, I love that it's Chekhov. That's funny. You can't go wrong with Star Trek. I love Star Trek. Where Darth Vader. Darth Vader? I don't know. Our marriage filled over with the questions common. I'm sure. In most. I'm sure. Oh, yeah, because this is a breakup of thought in most relationships. If not. Oh. I think. Most relation. I think. No. That's a comma. If not out loud, if not to the person, then who? I don't know. All right. Who? No, this would be like that. How do you do whatever? I need an M dash. Do do do. I need an M dash. Do do do. Because it doesn't let me make one when I want to. I think it's Christ. Who are you? I don't know. I'm trying to edit, but I only got rubber. What are you thinking? All right. Anyway, where's everybody? Okay. All right. So let's read the opening. Let's read it. All right. There in the dark, empty images form on a canvas of infinite nothing, unknown faces emerging, pulling me through endless hours of the night. It is here where I think of my wife often and always her head. The shape of it, the way the back stood out the first time when I saw it, and how it paused everything. There was something lovely about it, the angles, the shape, as the Victorians would call it, a finely shaped head. Even lost, I'd know her head anywhere. And her mind, far beyond its shape, calls me, strikes at me. I have a need, a desire to know what's inside, those roaming thoughts and fantasies she keeps so distant from me. Like a child, I want to explore, open a skull to unspoon her brain, shifting through it, trying to catch and pin down her thoughts, each one far reaching to my touch. What are you thinking, Amy? Our marriage filled over with that question, common, I'm sure, in most relationships, if not out loud, if not to the person who could answer. We needed to know. I needed to know. But how many times could I ask, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? Christ, who are you? What have we done to each other? What will we do? All right. Lovely. Oh, thank you. Thank you, flowers. I appreciate that. I appreciate. Other than the that's what I do when I'm doing readings. Then I'm like, oh, I gotta cut that out. Thank you. I appreciate that. So if we are to examine basically what we can in the next 3 minutes, ultimately, I took this, which again, oh, just got on. That sounds great. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you. Again, I'm just putting it in my voice. I'm not necessarily trying to make quote unquote her stuff better. Everything she wrote is amazing. It's Gillian Flynn. She is fantastic. I do recommend reading her works. I assure you it will be an adventure. But when we're writing things, when we're approaching even our own stuff, I'm doing this as an exercise to show you that you can do it too. To go, all right, what is this saying? What is the context? How do I add a little bit more of what it is that I say in my books, right? And the thing is, the purpose of putting your author voice in is to make choices. And one of those choices that I made consistently throughout this is I added atmosphere, I added more emotional movement, and also I created a deeper exploration of the character processing things. To me, this feels more like exposition through telling of how the character uh, feels or thinks and things like that. I don't necessarily have an emotional connection in the same way I wrote it, but it doesn't mean that it isn't there. It's just that's not how I process it, right? Because of my brain. So let me guess. The assignment is to leave our versions in the comment section to help us practice our voices. You can more than welcome to even just take the first passage and put it in your voice. I think that would be a lovely not only an exercise for you as an author, but for others to see that everyone has a different approach. The only rules is just make sure it has the context, subtext, and plot of what is originally there. Because when you're writing, one of the biggest fears can obviously be like, am I good? Is what I'm writing good? This doesn't look like someone else's stuff. And in reality, it shouldn't look like other people's stuff. You should be writing what feels right to you. And over time, you'll develop that voice. And by the way, author voice isn't something you develop overnight, Will Do sounds like a fun and great practice. I hope you do, Roll. I think you will have fun. And I think people will definitely get something out of it. more importantly, what I'm saying is author voice is developed through your choices. So the more choices you make and the more consistently you make those choices and the things you want to see. Because have you ever read a book or watched a movie or watch a show and you're like, I would have, Ro does it all the time, right? On his, I would have done this, I would have done that, right? And that is a writer's brain. It's important to try to approach things with that writer's brain when you're writing something and make choices. How would you do this? That is a sure sign of a writer is, oh, I would do it this way, or I see it that way, because that is what makes you a writer. It's making those choices. I might do it. Oh, please, flowers. I would love to see that. That's going a step further. That's not only taking your author voice, but that's taking a character you established and trying to put the circumstances through the emotional truth of that character. So technically, this first passage or passages would have different motivations because the way your character sees the world. That's an even better practice exercise. I love that idea. Oh yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah. So it's gonna take some time to find your author's voice if you haven't already found it, but like honing it is gonna take time. Because he's shouting already. I'm sure he's like, I am going to have a bloody good time. Yeah. For context, her character is a vampire. I don't just randomly do the Count's voice. I'm excited to actually see that, Flowers. If it doesn't come off that way, please know that I am very excited to see you write a sample version of your character in this scene. I think that would be quite fascinating. Anyway, all right, the floor is yours. It's we're an hour in. Let's do a couple questions. If you have questions about what I did today, author's voice, if you want clarity on some of my choices or whatever the case is, if you just want to make comment about the difference between things, or if you have questions about your own story and narrative and just writing in general, this is where I give the floor to the audience. So I will bring this up like this. Oh, that's a cool idea, right? It's really cool, right? Excellent. So there you go. I think uh boo, 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 boo. I think I might start putting this in. Woo, woo. I think I might start putting this in the folder, the download folder, like these are samples, so people could look at the samples as an exercise. I think it's always important to be able to kind of like study it and just be like, well, what is really happening? What are the nuanced differences? And you could do that with your own works too. When you're looking at something, especially if you do this exercise, if you take something and rewrite it in your voice, or even as Flowers is going to write it in their MC's voice, study it, analyze it. What are the nuanced differences? Because that's really how you learn. Oh, I didn't realize these are very common elements in my writing and my voice. And you could lean into them, or you could say, maybe this isn't really where I want to go. And you could lean. So exposition was something that I had, especially when writing screenplays, because in screenplays, you only really have dialogue, right, to get out information. You don't really have like deeper internal thoughts, or whatever the case is with novels, long form. So I would do that, and over time, my mentors and teachers were always just like, you can't say what's on the nose, kid. You gotta adjust things. You gotta add a little bit more subtext. You gotta, maybe, which eventually becomes seeding to me, but you gotta filter it through there and all these things. So exposition was something that I was like, well, if they know it, you said you need clarity, but in reality, clarity is just that the reader understands what they are reading, and not necessarily that you're spelling it out for them. Those are not the same thing. Clarity is there in the dark, empty images form on a canvas of infinite nothing, unknown faces emerging, pulling me through endless hours of night. We understand the clarity of this. They're staring into the darkness. They're imagining faces. Things are just sort of forming in the empty nothingness of night, and they can't sleep, or whatever the case is, right? Anyway, any questions? For fun, my refrigerator broke last night. Just want to Put that out there. I'm drinking what we would call warm soda, which is disgusting. And you can't even drink water because in the Midwest where I'm at, it's they tell you even when you shower, do not drink the water from the shower because it's hard water and it's many things but good for you. All right, what we got here? I'd like to see your rewrite of Yoda's conversation with Luke about going into the cave. Leave those. You will not need those. Do or do not. There is no try. But it's so big. And this is why you fail. Yoda. It's Yoda. Do, do, do. Do. Seagulls. Or whatever it is. I forget what it was. Seagulls. Where it's Yoda singing about seagulls. Ooh. About an hour ago, when my friend was having a shower, broken the garden, grabbing a tin of gloss paint and proceeded to paint the lounge silver and wooden flooring. Jeez. Well, that must have went different. Wow. That's horrible. That's now I feel a fridge, not so bad. Yeah, I was sorry about the hear of fridge too. I had just gone food shopping too. He'd already been naughty today. Broke through the fence to the BBQ next door, and so the other 11 followed him through the hall. Jesus. That dog will be in its. Dang. Oh, speaking of animals. Hey. Come on, Tube. The Tubester is here, everyone. The real star of the show. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. It's kind of dog crazy. You can't go wrong with being dog crazy, but at the same time, you know. What? What, puppy? Wait, puppy? You're a cat. I'm thinking of dog, and I don't know. And the dog and the cat is meowing. Hey, kitty. Meow. You leaving already? All right, bye. All right. Oh, you back? Spaniel. Do. Man's best friend in this case. Oh, man's best fiend in this case. Man's best fiend. That's funny. Morticia was naughty the other night. She was out in the allotments with the boys. Oh, with the boys. Until after midnight. 2 minutes to midnight. Time. 2 minutes. 2 minutes to midnight. I forget the lyrics. What are the lyrics? 2. Oh, the hands that threaten doom. 2 minutes to midnight to kill the unborn in the womb. Iron Maiden. Cat says, "Hey, Thomas, you know what sounds good right now? Food." If anyone has plenty of food at all times, it's the cat. A little bit of Maiden. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Maiden. When does it never sound good? When I'm trying to connect that statement to something, I apologize. My brain is all over the place. Prisoner in Time, Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden, by the way. I shouldn't say that. I love a lot of Iron Maiden songs. As they continue to make album after album, they lost my interest because I was like, what is going on here? She sits waiting for me on the back windows, yelling, "Abandoned!" It's funny. Oh, run to the hills, run for your life. The white man came across the sea. He brought us pain and misery. He killed our tribes. He killed our creed. He took our game for his own need. We fought him hard. We fought him well. Out of the plains, we'll give him hell. But many came, too much for the creed, or will we ever be set free? Right? I love that stuff. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Riding through dust clouds and barren lands. I could sing all day if my lungs weren't killing me, but hell yeah. I'm a metalhead. I come from a metal world. What we got? If you're gonna die, die with your boots on. Or bring your daughter to the slaughter. What is it? A 2023 Acacia Lane or whatever it's called. 23 Acacia Lanes. I don't know. They used to write so many great songs. Fun fact: I used to know Paul back in the day when I was in the music industry a little bit more. What's his name? Blaze Bailey, I knew too, but Paul Diodano, I knew them back in the day. Didn't Paul just die? One of them just died. Someone definitely just died. I don't remember. Anyone here know Halloween? The band Halloween? Halloween. Halloween. Right? What is it? Oh, masquerade. Grab your mask and don't be late. Get out now. We're disguised. A well-disguised heat and fever in the air tonight, right? Meet the others at the store. Knock on other people's door. Trick or treat. They have no choice. Little something. Haven't heard of them in ages. Yeah, they're so good. I love them. No, you haven't. They're a really fun band. They're really, really fun. Zero knows. What's a good album? If you want to try them out, Keeper of the Seven Keys is a good album to kind of try out first. What's another one? Halloween albums. Yeah, Keeper of the Seven Keys. Let's see. Oh, Walls of Jericho, Time of the Oath. That's all good. The best of albums are pretty good too, because you get a lot of the Master of the Rings is good. It's good. If you like a little crazier Halloween, like where it's more fun and weird, that would be like Chameleon. The Best, the Rest, the Rare. That's a really good album to get. They have some really great songs in there. You'll hear everything from I Want Out to Live My Life and to Be Free. Or Future World. That's a good one. We all live in future. Walls of Jericho's quick, but it's a fun little diddly. Oh yeah. You can't listen. I don't need to sell Priest. That's like me trying to sell early Metallica. It's just you should just know. You should have those albums. You know, one of my buddies, they had Ripper sing on their album. Desdemon with Ripper, right? Ripper. Yeah, Ripper Owens sang on "The Burning Martyr" for a band called Desdemon. They're not around anymore, but he was a special singer on that band. But anyway, I'm giving away all my music history. All right, any questions about writing? Or are we just doing karaoke? Let's be honest. It's yeah. No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I like all this stuff. It's a make the people hold each other's hands and fill their hearts with truth. You made up your mind, so do as divine. Dun, dun. Put on your armor, ray out the fights. Hold up your sword. You're leaving tonight. Make yourself ready. I can't hit those high notes. For the lords of the dark, they'll watch your way. That's Keeper of the Seven Keys. That song is a masterpiece and inspired me very much in my early life as a musician, where like I rarely my older music or like more of my epic songs rarely have choruses. If they're like shorter, like 5-minute songs, 4-minute songs, they have choruses. But I used to like writing these, like I would take songs and I would turn them into these stories, these short stories, and they would just build. And Keeper of the Seven Keys is an example of a story sort of like evolving over time. And they basically never hit a chorus. I was like, that's so good. I try to use chorus though, like if I do a chorus, like the music of the chorus is familiar, some of the words are familiar, but the goal is to summarize everything that sort of happened before the chorus and sort of like push it forward. And then there's like another beat, like, we're in act 2. And then the second chorus would sort of like, hit off, and then you'd be in act 3. And then the song sort of ends with the final verses, the final countdown. Anyway. All right. What do we got? All right, I'm going to close this out. We got here. Oh, Manowar. I love Manowar. Heavy metal. No metal at all. Wimps and posers. Leave the hall. Heavy metal is the law. I saw them live once, and all I remember is oil flacking off of them into the audience because they just cover themselves. Manowar photos. They are just covered in oil. Just pure oil. Let's see. Oh wait. Let's see if I could get a good picture of them, just to give everyone an idea of like how oily these people get. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This will be a funny picture. Do 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 do. They are hilarious. They clearly look at them. Look at the oil on them. I mean, come on. It's just pure oil. Look at that, just everywhere. You can't get rid of that oil. For context, though, this is me with my band. Wait. Did it? Oh wait, it didn't save. Did it save? Wait. Oh, there it is. That is not my band. That's not my band. That's hilarious. Even the 80s, that's a lot. It really is. Imagine this was my band. Check out my band, guys. At least they're dressed, like some bands nowadays, they don't really dress like they just want to. I'm the guitarist. I'm the singer. Look at me. I'm playing bass. No one really cares about that. But Manowar belongs in your fan. Manowar is in my fantasy novel. I'll just put it out there. No, yeah, you can't. Let's get rid of that. It's my nice living room. I love the background thing. Do I have? I think I have. Let's see if I can get a really old photo of me. Let's see if I have one. Old photo of Teeny Bra. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is an old photo of the band. This is very old. Okay, this is like, let's just add some context to the age. All right, it is an old photo. Remember, I was in music back in the early 2000s. Okay, all right. So before I show it to you, Merciful Fate, yeah, pops up in my current, yeah, Merciful Fate. I love Merciful Fate. Anything King Diamond. Their album Hail to England was really good though. I had that on CD, played the hell out of it. That's the way you got to do it. You just got to play your albums to death. All right, here goes. I'm going to show it, but remember, this is old. Okay. The guy to the left, I'm still making music with. That's Justin, but in the band he was Astroth. That's my cousin directly behind me, who looks like he would be emo, but he was Valus. Was it? No, it wasn't Valus. It was Voltas or whatever. I don't forget. And then that's Kenny in the back with his arms crossed. That's me in the middle, and that's Dan, or Dan the Mighty. So ridiculous. So what we got there? What we got? Oh, I found out that they're remaking The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and a female is going to voice Aslan, the male lion, and for Christianity, the lion represents God. Yeah, I heard about that. It's a pretty interesting way to go about it. But at the end of the day, it's all fake. It's all fantasy. It's all fun. It's all as long as the quality of writing is good. That's all I care about. Fabulous things. This is awesome. Your pal looks a bit like Headfield. A little bit. He looks like a Headfield. Do I have here's a stand-up one. Does he? Oh yeah, a little bit like Headfield. A little bit. I was the one who really committed, and then Justin was like, yeah, let me get into it. Everyone else was like a biker or somebody that walked into the wrong band. Heard that as well, Hannah. Yeah. It's gonna be Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep is gonna do the voice of the lion. But to be fair, if you really want to get into the philosophical reality of it, God itself is an entity of existence, right? If you want to kind of get into the metaphysical of it, and then the avatars of life are whatever they want. The only thing that doesn't make sense is that the lion is actually a male lion. It has the mane. So that is probably the argument of base, but it is also fake. It's also a, it's probably going to be CGI, and it talks. The lion talks. The creature talks. So I'm a little bit more curious about your thoughts on Snape, who's supposed to be not an attractive man. Let's just ignore the Caucasian element, but the Snape as a character isn't supposed to be an attractive man, and then they cast like a really attractive black man, and people are upset that he's black, and all I'm upset about is he's not ugly. And Snape is because why wouldn't Harry's mother go with the Snape if Snape looked like that? That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that's where they missed the bar, is because Harry's father is a dork, he looks like Harry. He's got the glasses. He's like, hey, look at me, right? But he's also supposed to be portrayed as somebody that's almost a bully to Snape. But Snape, I don't know. I would say that's the art, the god taking the form of a lion with a female's voice. There's a lot of elements there that could almost be justified. But an ugly character, that's like getting like Brad Pitt in his prime, and we're gonna cast him as a guy that is so repulsive, no one can talk to him. I can't even look at you. You're so repulsive, and but meanwhile, you cast him from directly after Thelma and Louise. Like that's a bad casting. That's all I'm saying. It has nothing to do with the skin. It has to do finding musicians back in the day devoted enough to go on professionally was few and far between. Ro, to answer that, I wanna put some context to that. I felt the same way you did, and then some of my mentors and some of the people that took me under their wings. The music industry is not about bands; it's about businesses. And if you could create yourself to become an individual business, like me, I made a lot of my money from being someone who got hired to either go on tour with people or work in a studio with people, to introduce people, to consult people. And then I also got to do music. Like I got to do my music on the side because in my brain, it wasn't about I need to have my music making me money. Even though I did make some money with it, it was more like, how do I want to be in the music industry. I want to be a musician. I want to make a living in the field of my interest. And that changes the way I approach it. Because I originally approached it like, if my music isn't great, I'm not successful if my music isn't on top. And I found that it's very difficult to find people that have the same passion I would have because they don't have the same dream I have. They don't have, it's not their music. They're sort of coming in. They have other things, other lives. And that's just like the reality of it. I know bands that got contracts. Okay. So a band formed. Okay. It was like one person and another person were like, let's do a band. And then they invited other people into that band. The person they invited into the band was a contact to get them signed. So the person that came into the band got them signed. That person who got them signed, I don't know how it happened, but the two people who started the band were kicked out of the band because it's the music industry. And that's the craziness. That's one of the reasons I left the industry, because it was like, that's what I was seeing all the time. But in reality, I was able to get immersed in it because I just did what I did. Sounds like quite a few parallels. My friend, it is identical. The industries that are creative are all identical. Being a writer, it feels isolated, but in reality, success for writers comes from networking, marketing, practice. It's who you know, who knows you, and how well you know yourself. You got to build and cultivate relationships to establish a strong circle of influence, right? You got to develop your brand so people are left with an impression of who you are, what you bring to the table, and what your core missions, morals, and purposes are. And then you need to know the business. You need to understand how the industry works. If anyone just goes in and they're like, I'm very good at X, Y, and Z, I'm an amazing, awesome, unique, creative XYZ comedian, writer, whatever, you're going to get hired, but you're not going to get work. And the big difference is you're hired for a thing, and then once they're done with that thing, I could get another one of you. It looks different. But work is when you're a part of an essential team or a mission, or more importantly, you're joining the tables to accomplish something greater than yourselves. And that's how I transitioned to a successful musician. That's how I went from a musician to I retired for a little bit. I got bored. Then I got into comedy, and then ultimately acting, and then ultimately back into writing, and then I got into the film and industry and all these other things. And it was all relationships. It was all how I can help others. It was all elevating tables. It was every single opportunity that came my way was through community and not necessarily, look at me, I'm awesome. However, when I first started music, I was like that. I was like, we have to beat everybody. Everyone's competition. We're gonna rock these stages and steal their fans, even though we're playing shows at the time where there's 4 people, and 3 of them are work at the bar. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was got to write lyric. Oh, I got to write lyrics for 2 of my friends. That was pretty fun, and glad I got to do something musically. Yeah, lyrics are really fun to write. especially because you're creating sort of like a story, but like in a short amount of time. It's a skill unto itself, just like poetry, just like um, writing a screenplay, just writing long form narrative, writing a speech. They're all their own little worlds. I used to get hired to write to help out rap artists. I'd have to. That was always interesting. Um, you know, good times, good times, good times. I did almost get a song in the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie a long time ago. I had it in. I had a direct contact, and they were like, "If you write a song, get us to this date, we'll get it in." And I handed it in the day before, and it did not reach where it was supposed to go in time. But whatever. It started off really fast. It was like Ghost Rider. It was like that kind of music. From hell. Yeah, it was a bummer, but that's the industry. That's how it is. That's how it is. I had here's an example. Like, a lot of people think, if they see my work, it all works out, but like it takes time. And I had a television show called Laundry, and I had a 5-season arc. I had it all worked out, and one of my best buddies worked at a hospital. So this is how opportunities happen. So we worked at the not we didn't work at the we worked out at the gym at like midnight, right? Because we both didn't sleep at night. And he would get off of work and then he'd go to the gym at night. So we'd meet at the gym, we work out. And he asked me what I was working on. I told him I was working on this show Laundry, and I was like, there's a role in there that's crafted after you, because all the stuff we talk about at night. And he's like, oh, cool. And then when he was working at the hospital, it turns out someone that worked with him also wrote for MGM. And there's these table writers that do like cleanup, or like they're idea men. And this guy would go out every weekend to work with the writers, but he had a special needs kid. So he worked at the hospital to get the benefits to take care of his kid, but he also worked as a writer. It happens. And so you never know who someone is. And anyway, my friend told him, oh, my buddy's working, because they were talking, and the guy was like, yeah, they're upset that all these projects coming in are crap. And they're like, we want something new and interesting. What about a show about laundry, laundromats or something? I don't know. Like something that's like Friends and laundromats, And my friend was like, my buddy wrote that. Like, he has that. And they handed it in, and they took about 5 episodes. And this is how crazy the industry is. They took 5 episodes. They loved all the 5 episodes. We were talking about it. That's how I got my first agent, because I had movement. I had creative movement on my own. An agent was like, yeah, let's do this. And then one thing led to another. And the guy who was directly my representative, all right, at MGM, left MGM and went to another studio. So when that happens, they can't take their projects. But because they're attached to the projects, the studio cancels the projects. So my show got, and I couldn't send it to someone else yet. I had to wait X amount of time. But by that time, I was already working on another show idea. I had my theater. So it's just, it's an interesting industry, definitely. Surfing. Oh, Satriani's. Yeah. I kept hoping they'd put Satriani's Surfing with the Alien in the Fantastic Four second film. Now I doubt they'll do that in the FF4 by Disney. Satriani. The Sanch. Very good stuff. Oh, we're 90 minutes in. All right. I feel like I'm just telling stories. I feel like I'm not educating. Anyway, is that it? Should we call it a day? Should we just see you all tomorrow? Maybe get back into we're gonna be writing tomorrow. That should be a lot of fun. We're gonna be writing. We're gonna be working on, I think we're on Act 3. I think we officially reached Act 3 in the science fiction film. Yes, we'll do. Awesome. All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's call it a day. Let's do it. Boop. Where's my button? All right, here we go. See you later. Get a cooler. Yeah. I already have one of those small refrigerators while I wait for my big refrigerator to be delivered. I got that real quick. All right, everyone. I'm Tom Bellezza. This is The Right Mindset. And as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.